Greenlightnetwork presents Football Time.
Hey, and welcome to the Football Time Show. We're here for NFL Week 17, and with me, as always, is Achilles Reign. We're going to go and give our best bets of the week. It was a pretty good week last week. A nice little take-home with the Pittsburgh Steelers on that Saturday night. This week, I will say, not as entertaining a week. We're getting towards that end, and basically, I don't know, two meaningless and weird people are going in and out of the lineup. Our fantasy football regular season champion, Achilles Reign, will attest to that. As always, the playoffs are what matter in fantasy football, and a first-round exit for Achilles Reign last week. So, all right, let's get into this week's games. We're going to start out with the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll be quick on this one. Big spread, 12.5. I'm not going to touch anything in there, despite, Denver probably quitting on this season, but we go over this. It's running gag. The Chiefs don't cover big spreads. So I don't see that. Broncos, Chiefs, you taking anything here, or this basically just a stay away?
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's really nothing that I'm taking here, but I did come up with just a couple suggestions that maybe if you want to take a flyer on here. I do have Denver in an alternate line at plus 14.5 at minus 155. I didn't think it was too far off from the original odds of the original spread here. So, as you mentioned, Kansas City doesn't really do well covering big spreads, and we don't really know how hard they're going to go, especially with this late in the season. So, my other one here is Latavius Murray, anytime touchdown at plus 175, almost 2-1. Not too bad here if you think that there's a good chance that he can get into the end zone.
Yeah, I don't got much here. I'm going to go Travis Kelce, 2+ touchdowns at plus 340. That's a terrible line. I don't know why I'm taking it. I just got a feel he's going to go off for one. But I will say I couldn't find a fight, sidelines fights for the Denver Broncos over under. If they would have posted that, I probably would have taken that. But nonetheless, that's about the only thing funny in the Denver Broncos thing. We didn't really touch on the coach getting fired, but I don't know that we need to. I think everyone in the world knew he wasn't going to be back. Anything on that, or move on to the next one?
No, I think we can move on. I mean, we got a pretty big slate of games here, and not too crazy about that particular match.
Yeah. All right. This one's a little more entertaining because it's live or die with the Detroit Lions here. Lions 6-point favorite. Really sort of dropped the ball last week in Carolina. Did not handle the weather conditions very well, or that sort of back-to-back road trip. I got a handful of plays on this one. I'm curious what plays you're thinking of here. In this game, I'm probably going to ride the Bears getting 6 points here. This looks like a sort of shootout matchup here. I know the Bears haven't played all that well, but offensively they've gotten better and better every week, and I just don't think this game is going to be a defensive battle. I think the Lions win the game, but I think 6 points is a little too much. What are you looking at in this one?
See, I kind of have the same thought process, but my gut's telling me different, so I'm going to roll with my gut on this one. I've got a couple plays here in this one. I've got the Lions alternate line at minus 6.5 at plus 102. Again, this is just more of a gut feeling. It's not. I really have no numbers to back this up, other than I really think they're going to come out and try to play hard based off what they did last week, which is pretty much throw up an egg. So I've got, like I said, the Lions alternate line minus 6.5 at plus 102. I've got a couple props here. I've got Justin Fields anytime touchdown at plus 102. I got Claypool anytime touchdown at plus 255. And my last one here, DJ Chark anytime touchdown at plus 195.
Yeah, I got a handful of stuff in there. In a shootout also, the score can go any way and still be close. But like I said, I got Bears plus the 6. I'm going to take that spread. I'm going to go Bears-Lions over 52.5. I think that one definitely hits. That's actually my bigger bet on this. I got a little bit on the Bears here, but I got a bigger bet on Bears-Lions over 52.5. Speaking of your feel on the Lions, I thought there was pretty good value here. On the halftime, full-time line, Bears halftime, Lions in the game. That was 6-1. I thought that was pretty good value because I think, the Bears will sort of do the Houston Texans thing where they play hard for 3.5 quarters and then magically those last 5 minutes, all of a sudden prevent defenses are out and draft picks are being saved in line. So I thought there was good value in that Bears Lions halftime, full-time line. There also have been some good stats about teams leading at halftime and either having the other team come back or the other team come back and win in games. It's been probably more of those games this season than like any other in stats I've been reading. I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert, anytime touchdown. He popped back up last week. Really explosive running back, probably the most explosive player the Bears have versus Lions defense, who is prone to giving up explosive plays. You saw that last week versus the Carolina Panthers in their rushing attack. I like Khalil Herbert plus 220 on the anytime touchdown. And then we're going to throw a long shot, Khalil Herbert, most rushing yards in the game. I know Montgomery's probably going to get the workload, and Fields always has the chance to spring one, but I think that's factoring in the Lions a little bit, and the Lions have now been in basically like a 4 running back split, which, I just... Unless one of them breaks a big one, which, versus the Bears defense, always possible. But I reverse that and say Herbert has just as good a chance of breaking a big one versus that Lions defense. So most rushing yards in the game, Khalil Herbert, 11-1. I really, really like that bet as well.
Yeah, it's really good odds too.
Yeah, that's what I thought, especially since for some reason rushing yards 100 plus this week. They decided to reduce another 100 off of it. I don't know if it's the end of the year or what, but every week they all seem to get lower and lower. We were doing it in week 4, and I was giving you like 7-1. So I'm doing it now, and it's like plus 280. And I'm like, well, that's not as good a value. Saints, Eagles. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. I don't have any bets in this game. I know the Saints are still alive. I will say I lean Saints, but I don't know how they're going to do outdoors. Every time I take them, they play badly. Every time I don't take them, they play well. I don't know what the Eagles' motivations are. You saw the danger of sort of playing hard last week. Lane Johnson got hurt. A couple of the corners got hurt. And now everybody's sort of looking at them with an eyebrow raised. Are they going to be healthy for the playoffs after playing 16 games worth of really good football? So I don't know if now that Cowboys game is over with, they sort of tone it down, make sure everybody's healthy for, the playoff push here. I know they need to win one more to sort of get that bye in the first round, but I don't know their motivation, so I didn't want to bet on it, especially with a 5.5. I'm curious on your take on this one.
The way I was looking at this game, I don't think there's much to play for here. I don't think they're going to be going crazy trying to get that bye. I think a lot of these guys, though, will be looking at this almost as an exhibition to show off for their next possible team. And I'm looking at guys like Minshew. So a lot of these bets are based off if Minshew plays. I believe he's the one that's going to get the start.
Yeah, he's going to start for sure.
Hurts practiced a little bit throughout the week, but from what I've heard, only Minshew was available to the media. And according to some of the players in the practice, they said Minshew got most of the snaps for a practice round. So I believe he's going to start. I don't
even know why you would play him either. It just seems stupid to throw Hurts out there if he's not 100%.
And I think that's the thought process with just about everybody. So it's one of the reasons why I like these bets if Minshew plays. I mean, you saw the way he played last week.
Yeah.
He played really well. I mean, I know that that Cowboys secondary isn't all it's made out to be, but he did pretty good regardless for a division rival. So I'll give you my bets for this game really quick here, just so we don't take too much time. I've got Devontae Smith anytime touchdown at plus 140. I got AJ Brown anytime touchdown plus 122. Minshew over 1.5 passing touchdowns, minus 142. Minshew over 234.5 passing yards at minus 104, and Devontae Smith over 57.5 receiving yards at minus 119.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of big on the Eagles. Like I said, this is more of a thought process of just, I'm assuming these guys are basically doing their interviews for next season here. So, I mean, listen, it could go the complete opposite way. But honestly, it's just a gut feeling I've got.
Yeah, I wonder how much they pound Miles Sanders as well. They did a lot of that in that Dallas game, and I'm just like, these guys are taking unnecessary hits. And you saw it with Lane Johnson, who now, I guess he's going to try to play for the playoffs, but when abs start getting ripped and torn, that makes me a little nervous, especially when your game is offensive lineman and it's supposed to be power and leverage from your core. So I don't know what the Eagles, so maybe they just start launching balls around with Minshew and, see if they can hit the Saints here, who, 1 week we get the Saints defense we've seen the last couple of years, and the next week we see a Saints defense who gives up 40. So no telling what you're grabbing there. Next one, I got one bet, but Jacksonville says it's playing their starters, but, who knows for how long or what. I think it's important that sort of Jacksonville does sort of just build wins and momentum, so I think they'll keep their guys out there. Houston's just a total wild card, so Jags, Texans, nothing for me. I thought 3.5 was too high, but it's not in that Texans range of 6 or 7 where I want to take them. So I got Lawrence anytime touchdown. Anything on this that piqued your interest? I got a couple parlays that have a couple guys.
I was able to find a few things, and this is more with the thought process that you brought up earlier. Houston plays hard for 3.5 quarters, and then they kind of, melt away a little bit here. As you mentioned, draft picks kind of come into,
unless you're the Titans,
into the picture. Yeah, yeah, unless you're the Titans, which they kind of did that to themselves.
Who are running read option in the 2-minute offense.
Yeah. Listen, Dynamite was not a happy camper here, but I got a couple plays here. This Houston team, like you mentioned, is a bit of a wild card. They've been playing really good over the last few weeks, and then they tone it down late in that fourth quarter, unless you're the Titans. So I've got first half Houston money line plus 130, and second half Jacksonville plus 255. So basically, it's like a first half, second half, like you did in your previous pick. So I got Houston taking the first, Jacksonville taking the second. And that gives you plus 255. I've got Evan Ingram anytime touchdown at plus 170, and then I got Travis Etienne over 71.5 rushing yards at minus 130.
Like I said, Trevor Lawrence anytime touchdown plus 370. They finally started to sort of realize he's sort of a tank down there, and you can sort of bull rush him when you get to that 5 and under line, and you don't always have to try to run like Travis Etienne and stuff. So I like the Trevor Lawrence plus 370 anytime touchdown. Next up, I'm curious. This game, I don't have anything, but I was tempted to take the spread here, but I thought better of it. I'm curious your take on it. Colts, Giants, Giants 5.5. I really want to take the Giants here, but I just grabbing the Giants at minus 5.5. I can't talk myself into, considering they play 3-point games every single week. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's no secret here that everybody who's tuned in at least a couple times here knows that I love me some Giants, but I love me some Giants when they're dogs.
Yeah.
Not so much when they're favored. And so I'm not taking the spread here, but I do have a couple plays in this game. I've got Zach Moss anytime touchdown at plus 150. Michael Pittman, who had the most targets last week with their new quarterback, per se, anytime touchdown at plus 185. And these are more of a flyer if you're feeling a little risque. I've got Isaiah Hodgins anytime touchdown plus 220, or Richie James anytime touchdown plus 220. Both those guys have the same odds, and both of them were actually targeted a lot last week. So if you can kind of imagine this being a little bit of a struggle, you assume that these guys might get some targets and get some love. So there's a good chance one of these guys gets into the end zone. I
see you're using your Ram theory and Allen Robinson with Michael Pittman. Yes, lots of targets. Balls that are caught does not factor in, especially when Nick Foles is selling him 30 feet over his head.
it's like CD Lamb, and I've been riding that CD Lamb anytime touchdown. And every time I look, he has like 100 targets, 50 catches for like 1,000 yards, and no touchdowns. So, like I said, take that with a grain of salt. But I think that there's a good possibility here.
Yeah, I agree. It's just fun always to look at the targets and then go down and look at the catches, and it's like 12 targets, 2 catches. Well,
yeah.
All right. I don't even know what to do with this game because it's a very important game. But honestly, Tampa Bay should be banished from football. Carolina goes there and getting 3.5. I'm really big on Carolina here. I think if you've watched these two teams play all season long, I think Carolina's been the better team. You see games where Carolina really, really dominates. I honestly don't think there's a game where you can look at and say Tampa Bay has dominated that game all season long. Now they've gotten their wins and they do whatever that was last week on Monday Night Football numerous times versus terrible teams. But if you're giving me plus with Carolina, I'm going to ride this. So I'm really big on Carolina getting the 3.5 this week, especially since, knowing Tampa, it's going to be a 3-point game anyway. So what are you looking at here, Carolina, Tampa?
I'll be honest with you, this is one of the few games that I actually have no play in. I completely agree with what you said. Your assessment, I think, is correct. And that's probably the way I would lean. I just am not that brave. So I'm probably going to be a no play on this one and save a little bit of my money. Maybe I can make some other bets later on.
There's also always the chance that Carolina gets behind early, and then you're pretty much done for because then they have to actually ask Sam Darnold to do something at quarterback. But, you assess the risk that Tampa Bay gets up early, and considering that has happened never, I think we're okay, and Carolina should be able to get their running game going. And quite honestly, there's probably a little bias there where I just want Carolina in the playoffs. I don't want Tampa Bay in the playoffs. It's just been awful to watch them.
I'll tell you, though, our mutual friend, Mr. Frankie here, is probably begging for some Darnold touchdowns because every touchdown he throws, that collection of Sam Darnold, just keeps going up in value.
Well, I think our other short little friend at Kroger here does not want Tampa Bay in the playoffs because they'll probably play the Cowboys in the first round, and everybody knows what's going to happen in that one. So you'd probably much rather see the Carolina Panthers. But Carolina Panthers plus 3.5, I really like that. I got a couple halftime full times as well. I got Carolina halftime, full-time, plus 250. We've talked about it a handful of times. Tampa Bay is the worst first-half football team possibly ever, but definitely this season. But that's 250 for halftime, full-time, Carolina. But if you want to protect yourself a little bit, Carolina halftime, Tampa Bay full-time is 6-1, which probably if you've been taking that all season long with Tampa Bay, it's the only way you're a rich person betting on Tampa Bay this year. So that's what I got. I didn't take any player props, though. It's too hard. Well, Tampa Bay, Lord knows what you're getting out of that outfit on offense. And, like we talked about, if Carolina gets behind, the two running backs can't be used, and then Carolina's offense gets all wonky, so I couldn't really go anywhere player prop wise. All right, Dolphins, Patriots. I really don't know what to say about this one because the Dolphins was one of the teams that let us down last week, especially after being wonderful for the first half, and then, I guess Tua had a concussion, didn't tell anyone, and then he was awful the second half. I don't know what to do with this game. Patriots are favored 2.5. They don't score points. The Dolphins score points, but they usually do it when Tua's brain isn't rattling against his skull. I don't know if I trust Teddy Two Gloves going into Gillette here. I got a couple.
That was your guy last season, man.
I got a couple props, but I have no clue what to do with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. The reports coming out of Miami were that the NFL was investigating about them putting Tua in the concussion protocol. And then they came out and said that they weren't going to do anything, fine him or get him in trouble because apparently he didn't show any signs of a concussion. I think that we've just gotten so used to him being in concussion protocol that we just assume this is what he walks around like now. So it's a little tough, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, seeing how great this guy started the season. And people were calling him the best quarterback in the league, and now people want his head and they want his job, and it's a little crazy if you ask me. But listen, I'm only going to take a couple prop bets in this game, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even feel great about it. I just think you kind of have to when you're talking about this Dolphins team. So I'll give you mine. I've got Waddle anytime touchdown at plus 195. And then Hill anytime touchdown plus 128. I think that anytime you can get both of those guys in plus value, you're doing a pretty good job, and you got a good shot at least getting one of those guys. So those are my only two bets for this game. But again, I don't feel great about it.
Well, enjoy watching Teddy Two Gloves check down to Jeff Wilson Jr. 75 times in a row.
See, here's the thing though, Waddle. I don't know. I feel like Waddle is always a threat.
Yeah.
Even when Tua isn't in there. It's just the type of routes he runs are a little more friendly, and you know that most of the time Tyreek's going to get most of the attention on that from that secondary. So, like I said, I don't feel great about it, but I just kind of have to when you're getting plus money on these
It'll
guys.
be interesting to see this Patriots defense matched up against these guys. The Pats D has started to play really well this sort of last half of the season. The problem is the offense continues to not play really well. Speaking of that, speaking of offensive players who are not playing really well, I got Hunter Henry, anytime touchdown plus 280. Hunter Henry, 2+ touchdowns, 22-1. The Dolphins are atrocious against tight ends, so if ever he was going to get a pass, I assume it's this week, but I'm also asking Matt Patricia to diagnose a game plan and put it together out there. So who really knows? But they've been bad versus tight ends. Hunter Henry occasionally is still a good one. So I'm going to take a couple shots on Henry having a good game. Anytime touchdown, 280, 2+, 22-1. Next up, Cleveland, Washington, -2.5 for the Commanders. Nothing here for me. For some reason, Carson Wentz is back in because, I don't know, he looks cool in shorts and can throw the ball far. No one likes him, but I don't know what to do with this game. Cleveland's awful, and apparently Nick Chubb is no longer involved in the offense, so I got nowhere to go. I don't want Carson Wentz. I don't want Deshaun Watson. If you had me lean, I'd probably take Washington, but I'm a little nervous of Carson Wentz murder here on a bad play. So what are you looking at in this one?
I'm with you, man. I don't really have a play in this one. Now, I do have a play later on in the show, but I'm not going to rip anybody's hearts out by making two different bets on this Cleveland-Washington game. So, but if I had to lean any one way, I think just based off the way Cleveland is somehow managing to win games, I'd probably lean Cleveland here. But again, I got no play for this particular matchup right now.
Yeah, definitely so. Next one, Arizona, Atlanta Falcons. Apparently, Arizona's just going to pick up some dude off the street every week and put him in at quarterback. Trace McSorley lasted 1 week. I don't know why you keep your number 3 on the roster all season long. Play him 1 week. And then Benjamin go pick up some dude off the street. But David Blau's in. Atlanta's -6. I know you're going to think I'm insane and completely retarded for taking this, but Falcons -6 I'm going to bet on for some reason. I just think this Arizona team is done. And I sort of like everybody but Desmond Ridder on this Falcons team, which is a minor problem since he heads up the offense. But if we give me a lot of Algier and Patterson and 3 or 4 deep long passes to Drake London, I think the Falcons are good in this one. But probably shouldn't break this down too much, but it is one of my big plays of the day for some reason. So what do you like in this one?
See, I'll help you out here since you took a good amount of time telling us your wonderful Atlanta, Arizona plays. I have no play for this game, so we can keep going.
I got one more. I got Drake London, 100-plus yards at 550. If he can hit a couple long ones, granted, quarterback play is a little suspect, but he usually gets at least one, so maybe he can get two in this game. Next up, I have nothing in this one. I have no clue where to go with this, but Niners, Raiders. Niners 9.5-point road favorites. Used to be a big Bay rivalry. Now I don't know what it is, but whatever's going on with the Raiders, apparently the coach once again is doing weird things, and I guess thinks Jared Stidham's a better option than benched Carr, and then he's probably going to go pay Jimmy Garoppolo an absurd sum of money in free agency and thinks he's a better option. I don't know, but every time you do something weird with the Raiders, then they play well for 20 minutes and cover spreads like this. So I'm nothing in this game. I don't know what you got here.
I'll tell you what I've got. I've got a bunch of feelers for this game. Nothing that I really like that's set in stone, but more if you're either a Niner fan or Niner fan, because this isn't looking good for the Raiders. But I'll give you what my possible plays are for this game. You mentioned, this. The coach comes out and says Derek Carr's the issue, decides to bench him. When we all saw Derek Carr perform, with all the adversity he did last season and lead his team to a playoffs. And so I don't understand where this is coming from. I think I've said it all year long. I don't like McDaniels. I don't think he's a good coach, a good head coach at least. But that's neither here nor there. So I'll give you my plays really quick just so we move on here. I'm taking San Francisco in an alternate line at minus 13.5 at plus 133. I feel that if the Niners, I do think that Purdy's due for a bad game. And I'm waiting for it. I just don't know if it's going to happen. We've only got 2 games left.
I'm not sure the Raiders are the one who forced that game.
And that's one of the reasons why I felt a little more comfortable even mentioning these picks here. If it was anyone else, I probably wouldn't. But I've got, like I said, San Francisco alternate line at minus 13.5 at plus 133. I've got Kittle anytime touchdown plus 175. Then I got Kittle 2+ touchdowns at 10-1. So Kittle's looking a little bit better if he can get into the end zone, but again, that's a big if.
Yeah, like I said, nothing. I don't mind doing your play where you just boost this up to be a total annihilation. Jared Stidham is not an NFL quarterback, so...
and that Niner defense. Oh,
yeah.
I feel bad for the guy.
The only thing I'm worried about is the Niners look at this as a joke as well and sort of like... we're trying to win playoff games here. Beating the Niners in Week 17 with Jared Stidham at quarterback isn't going to mean all that much. But, I think it's a good play to juice that alternate lineup. I also wouldn't even be scared to go up to 20 or something, even though the Niners aren't really a team that sort of scores like that. But there's no telling what you're getting from this Raiders squad here. This next game's... probably, I don't know if it'll be the best played game, but it's probably loser leaves town, one of the most important games in Week 17. The New York Jets go to the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks getting 1.5 at home. So you can probably guess where I'm going to ride on this one, but I'm curious your thoughts on this one. We can dip into this one probably a little bit deeper because this one actually has a lot of meaning. Seahawks getting 1.5. Defense has not looked good. They haven't looked. They've looked worse than bad too. I was trying to think. Non-existent probably should be the word. And the offense has sort of come back down to earth a little bit here. The reverse going on with the Jets. Defense has looked good. Offense has looked basically non-existent. We get the savior Mike White in there. It's an upgrade, clearly, over Zach Wilson, but I look at it more like the Carson Wentz sort of upgrade where they just like Mike White better. What do you make of this game? Can the Jets go in there and win in Seattle? Can Seattle sort of refine their rhythm here and win this game? I just think Seattle getting 1.5 at home, despite how sort of bad they've been, is good value here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? But I'll be honest with you. I look at this Jets defense, and I just don't see how this Seattle offense, although they are starting to kind of right the ship a little bit, but over the last few weeks, they've definitely fallen off, and a lot of it had to do with the injury to the running back, and that really seemed to digress. And you had an injury to Lockett, and it seemed to kind of
Gino
pull the wheels
coming
off
to
the wagon
earth a little bit.
Yeah, but they picked it up a little bit. They've gotten a little more balanced, and I think Walker's back this week.
Yes, Walker's going to be back this week. Well, at least I will say there were odds for his rushing yards, which Vegas usually knows better than we do. So if they put odds on it, I'm assuming he's back.
Yeah, so I do think that helps them. But this Jets defense, and not that I'm huge on Mike White or anything, but I do think
they
that
play
it's
better. That's no doubt to that.
It seems like the team just kind of responds a little bit better to having him under center. So I'm going to go ahead and write the Jets here at -1.5, and that's really my only play for this game. I have no way of telling you what the Jets offense is going to do. And I really don't trust Seattle's offense versus this Jets defense. So I'm just going to write the spread here, and that's my only play for this game.
Oh, a dueler.
Yeah, we needed one of those.
Yeah, I know. It's great that it's Jets Seahawks. We'll both be very, very attached to watching one team that has no defense and one team that has no offense on trading
now,
sides.
if you put them together,
yeah,
you could have a scary
that
team
would
there.
actually make a probably decent playoff team. It's probably just old habit. Seahawks getting a 1.5 at home. I have no real basis because basically I think both of us have been riding against the Seahawks for the last 5 weeks. So all of a sudden I'm doing a 180. I just home, Jets coming across. I think they're getting a little bit more love than they probably deserve. I get their defense is really good, but their offense has been awful. And even with Mike White in there, it wasn't exactly scoring 25 points a game. It was still in the 13 to 17 category. It just wasn't turning the ball over as much. So Seahawks +1.5 for me. I'm going to go Tyler Conklin anytime touchdown. The only team worse than Miami versus tight ends is Seattle. And now, granted, basically, you can use that theory for everything because the only team worse on defense than them is probably Seattle. So Conklin anytime touchdown 3-1. I thought that was really good value, and then Conklin 2+ touchdowns 25-1. So as bad as the Seahawks defense has been, I put a little also. It wasn't good enough for me to sort of grab, but Garrett Wilson and Mike White have had a good combination. So it wasn't good value, but I think he at least gets over 80, possibly 100 in this game, especially versus Seattle defense. So maybe you can throw that into a parlay somewhere if you're looking at that. I just didn't think it was good value, so I was going to stay away. Also, I don't know how healthy Mike White is. He got massacred in that game 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he did.
And we saw Justin Herbert. It took him, probably 8 to 10 weeks before he started to look right. And I assume those injuries are pretty similar. So, 2 weeks off, I don't know if he's going to be all the way right there. So Seahawks 1.5, Conklin anytime, Conklin 2+ for me. Another interesting one. Green Bay is all of a sudden lurking, and they aren't lurking. I've almost guaranteed they're going to be the ones that slide into this playoff spot. For the things that had to go right in that game last week in Miami for them to get the win, it's just one of those things where I think destiny has now become on their side. And into town comes everybody's favorite, the Minnesota Vikings, the winners by 3 points every week. So Packers favored by 3. Do the Packers get this done? The Vikings get a win here. What do you make of this game? I got one play on it. I'm not touching this.
I got to be honest with you. So this particular game, I made my picks last night as we were in celebration during New Year's Eve. And this morning when I was looking at the picks I made, I was like, the first thing that came to mind that was that image that Dynamite sent to us in that group chat, where it says if those teams that have won games by one possession were to flip that around, this would be like the worst team in the league right now. So it makes me a little nervous, but I'll give you my plays for this game. I've got Minnesota +3 at -110 here. I also wouldn't be opposed to taking the money line here at +136. Yeah. I've got Cook anytime touchdown at -110. Then I got Aaron Jones anytime touchdown at +100. But I've also got some plays for later on.
I got one play. I'm going to go Vikings halftime, Green Bay full-time, +650. Thought there was decent value in that. I really have no clue how this game's going to play out. It's just predicting the Vikings is extremely difficult. Other than the game's going to be in a 3-point window. The spread sits in the 3-point window. So,
maybe it's because of that. I have no real reason, but when I was looking at the games, this was one of the games that I was actually kind of excited to see, and it's not something I've said about Green Bay pretty much all season long. So maybe it's that it's going to be within 3 points and it's going to be tight. I don't know, but I'm actually excited to watch this game.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this one. I haven't been excited to watch Green Bay all year. Granted, they probably still will not be exciting to watch, but I'm curious if they can do this thing and pull it off and get into the playoffs. So Vikings halftime, Green Bay full-time +650 for me. Battle of L.A., Rams, Chargers, -6.5. They probably thought they had a winner with this one, and, well, I mean, granted, the Rams are now all of a sudden great.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, you're going to have to believe that line when they sign Baker to a $100 million contract because he's scoring 50 points a game the last 4 weeks of the season.
Listen, I mean, you have to look at the opposition. This last game versus Denver. I know Denver's known to have a really good defense, but offensively they've been struggling. So you talk about this Rams team, if they can get after you defensively and cause havoc for the opposing offense, then it's so much easier for this offense to kind of run and flow and feed the ball to Cam Akers, throw it to Higbee. Find maybe Van Jefferson for a first down. So it makes it a lot easier for this Ram team to actually produce something of an offense, compared to what they've done so far this season. And not to spend too much time on it here, but I think it's a product. What he's done is a product of who he's faced. I don't think it's really the team or the cast around him. So we got to pump the brakes a little bit. I know that people are talking about him taking over as the quarterback. I'm like, I totally go for him being the backup to Matthew Stafford, but I don't know about him being the guy.
No, I want training camp duel. Stafford, Mayfield. I'm getting you the Mayfield jersey.
Oh, gosh.
I got one play. I'm going over Rams, Chargers, 41.5. I thought this was extremely low. Chargers have sort of found their offense a little bit. I don't want to say the Rams have found their offense. We just went over it. They've hit a nice little point in their schedule where they've played dreadful competition, and the only team that was sort of mediocre good, Green Bay, the offense struggled in that game. So, granted, but I think they could get to 20 points or so against this Chargers team. I think the Chargers team could get to about 24 to 27 points. Over 41.5 just seem really low for these two teams here. So I'm going over. That's my only play in this one. Anything for you in this game?
I've got a couple here. I've got Mike Williams anytime touchdown at +155. That's more of a product of me assuming that.
Have you switched to Van Jefferson anytime touchdown every week?
No, I haven't. And I'm not taking it this week either. But I do have, like I said, I have Mike Williams anytime touchdown. That's more of a product. I think that Keenan Allen is probably going to get most of the attention from that secondary. And this Rams defense, to be honest with you, even though they've lost a lot of games, this Rams defense is not horrible. They're pretty good. My other one here, Cam Akers over 84.5 rushing and receiving yards combined at -110. And my last one, Keenan Allen under 72.5 receiving yards at -117.
Yeah, this should. I'm curious to see if we get a little bit of offensive firepower, and if we can get the Chargers here to close. They have a really soft. The last week's game, this week, and their final game are all very soft competition. I'm curious if we can get them going into the playoffs with momentum, or they're going to drop one of these games that they should win. I guess none of us really got aggressive on the spread here. I don't think anybody ever wants the Chargers at 6.5, and everybody's too scared to touch the Rams anymore this year. So should be interesting. Next game up, Steelers, Ravens. Ravens 2-point favorites. They just played 2 weeks ago. Ravens won that game in, I think, 16-13, which I think is the permanent score every time these two teams play. So maybe if you're doing actual scores, you should probably just do 16-13, 17-13, and see if you can hit an actual score. But I'm curious, how nervous are you getting about this Lamar Jackson? Where we seem to get teased early in the week every week, where he's practicing, he probably will be ready to go, and then Thursday, Friday rolls around, and we get the Huntley's going to be our quarterback this week. I think I said 3 or 4 weeks ago, with Dobbins and Edwards starting to run well, I thought if you stuck Jackson back in there and he was healthy, this Ravens team could make a run because their defense has come around and started playing well. But now I'm getting a little scared that Lamar's a little bit more hurt than what we're getting from the Baltimore Ravens here.
I mean, if you're scared about it, think how he feels. I mean, this guy basically gambled on himself. He basically took a flyer on himself by not signing the extension that they gave him earlier in the season, or that they offered him. He basically said he was going to bank on himself to play well this season. Unfortunately for him, he got hurt. Not something that's always under his control, but now you have to start thinking he's probably looking at this season, and if they can't make a good run here towards the end of the year, then his dollar signs are probably going to go down a bit. That's even if they sign him, because if you're the Ravens looking at this guy, Lamar Jackson, yes, he's a great quarterback. He's got a very large skill set here with the things he can do. But one of the most important things in the NFL is your availability. And he just happens to be hurt year in and year out. So if you're the Ravens, I mean, do you look at this guy like, is this guy worth 25% of our cap? There's a lot of questions you have to start asking yourself, and I'm sure he's asking himself those questions also, because he's got to put himself in their shoes also. So a little scary if you ask me, but I'll give you my place for this game really quick. I've got J.K. Dobbins anytime touchdown plus 130, Najee Harris anytime touchdown plus 150, and then Huntley, who seems to run a similar type of system as Lamar Jackson, anytime touchdown at plus 265. Those are my only plays for this game. Again, I assume it's probably going to be a low-scoring game, as you mentioned. So I'm kind of hoping that
if you watch the Steelers play this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a little too many times. But
did you watch them last Saturday night when we had to grind out a win?
Oh gosh, listen. Like I said, it's we're getting close to the end, and these two teams, we know how they play each other. They play each other rough. They play each other tough. So I'm assuming the running backs are going to get some love in this game. And if anyone's going to score a touchdown, I'm assuming it's probably going to be on the ground here. So this is why I'm riding these guys. But it's a tough one. This one was a tough one.
Yeah. The other thing, it hasn't been mentioned, but I think the all-in trades for Watson and Wilson also might factor in there, as I guess you can't judge on the Watson one quite yet, but I mean, he's been so horrendous, and you think all you given up, and you got that one, and to a lesser extent, you can look at the sort of Matthew Stafford one. Granted, they won the Super Bowl, but you're now staring at that. Your first-round pick is going to the Lions, and they're sitting in decent shape. But you win a Super Bowl, you get a little bit of a pass. The extension they signed him to this year, I might have been a little bit less optimistic to give. But I think, the Wilson and Watson going all in and trading, and you see how that can affect your team. I wonder if teams will be less likely, to go and do that for like a Lamar Jackson if Baltimore puts the franchise tag on him, which they probably will do, and teams will be less likely to sort of do that. We'll trade you picks for the next 6 years, and we're going to give you a $250 million contract. It'll be interesting to see what goes down in the offseason with that one, especially since it's 2 years in a row where Lamar's sort of been banged up here towards the end of the year, and Baltimore sort of had to scramble to find offense. But and funny enough, the Steelers are still in the playoff picture a little bit here. 20 things have to go right, but the job Mike Tomlin continues to do with this team of not very good parts is amazing. Last game of the week, on paper, best game of the week, but I wanted to get your thought on this. How hard do you think these two are going to go at it here? I'm a little concerned. These two teams are eyeing each other, going, we're probably going to see each other in the playoffs. You're getting the most vanilla offensive package you've ever seen from us on both sides. It looks like a good one on paper, but I'm a little nervous. We aren't going to get a sort of big-time showdown here on this Monday night, especially this close to the end of the year.
It's funny because that's exactly how I thought of it. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think that it's going to be more of a, we're not going to show you all of our cards this week because we're probably going to have to show you our entire playbook once it comes to the postseason. But I'm hoping that's not the case. Because if not, this is definitely the best game of the week. Two of the top contenders in the AFC. Going at it, late in the season, it's usually a really good thing. But when teams usually have things clinched up, they tend to kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit, which I'm hoping doesn't happen. So I'll give you my plays here, and these plays are assuming that both of these teams play as they would, during any game this season. I've got Cincinnati here at +1 at home. I know that's only 1 point, that they're getting, but they've been hot. I think they won 7 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They've been playing really good. The defense has stepped up. Offensively, they're doing enough to keep themselves in games. They fell a little behind. I can't remember what the matchup was, where it looked like they actually might lose that game. Oh, okay.
They got up, and then they started melting.
Yeah, but they managed to pull off that win. Yeah. So, anyways, I've taken Cincinnati here +1 at -110. I've got Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown, +135. I know he was a little quiet last week. I don't expect it 2 weeks in a row, especially if, like I said, I'm assuming both these teams play with, the way they should. I got Dawson Knox, anytime touchdown, +195, and then Tyler Boyd, anytime touchdown, +225. He was the only Bengal that I found that had decent enough odds to take a flyer on. Yeah,
for the very reason we touched on, I had to wipe the game because I don't know quite what we're getting. I liked a couple of the Diggs props. By Monday, I might go a little bit deeper into them, but I was just, I don't know. I didn't want to grab anything quite yet because I'm nervous. We're all running straight line patterns down the field and handing the ball up, off the middle because come playoff time, we aren't going to show you anything on both sides. And honestly, it makes sense to do that too, because these two teams are going to bounce. So I had nothing in it. Maybe by Monday I might pop a couple things. I was looking at Diggs heavy. All right, parlays. That
would be my. Sorry to cut you off, real quick, but that would be my suggestion. Is that if you are going to bet on this game, probably hold off until Monday. Use some of your funds to kind of fund this Sunday's slate of games. And then, you can think about Monday once it comes up. But I'd probably hold off on it just to kind of see how things play out, and then we can go off of that.
Yeah. All right, parlays. I got a handful. How many do you got?
I've got 3 for you.
All right. I'll start off so I can get a break before we outro us, and then you go. First one, 100-plus rushing yards. We're going Travis Etienne and Tyler Algier, +628 for both to go over 100 in a 2-leg parlay. Same game parlay, rushing yards once again. Daniel Jones 50 plus, Saquon Barkley 105 plus, 8-1 on that one. Another same game parlay. I mentioned the tight ends. I got both of them here. Hunter Henry anytime touchdown and over 24.5 receiving yards. That probably shows how far Hunter Henry has fallen. His over-under on receiving yards is 24.5. That's 507. Tyler Conklin, anytime touchdown, over 28.5 receiving yards. That's 438. And then I got a new one for you. A new triplet here. The Atlanta Falcons. Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson, Drake London, all anytime touchdowns. Plus 1505, so 15-1 on Algier, Patterson, and London. If you go to DraftKings, you can get a little same-game parlay boost. Do this one, boost it up even higher, and hope the triplets hit on that one. And then last, I think you're going to like this one. All these guys had a half touchdown over-under. We're taking over. Mayfield, Pickett, Stidham, Ritter, Darnold, Dalton, Foles, all to throw. 1 touchdown. 7 legs, 1 touchdown. You'll be disappointed. It's only 10-1.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So that one's a non-advisory take. That's for my humor, not if you want to win money, because that's terrible value on a 7-leg parlay with a lot of bad quarterbacks.
That's one of those bets that when you hit it, you show up Monday and you start showing your friends and you're laughing as you're showing them what you won money on.
Yeah, that's one of the ones you show me, I think, and I go, that's terrible value.
But I won.
All right, what do you got for us?
All right, so I've got a couple here for you. My first one is a same-game parlay 4-legger. I'm taking Minnesota +3. Cook, anytime touchdown. Cook, over 74.5 rushing yards. And Cousins, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That gives you odds of, plus 495.
I think I need to get you the Cousins jersey is what I need to get you. You've fallen in love this year.
Just give me the chains. I've got the glasses. I don't need the shirt, although I could use some abs. If you've got one of those fake ab T-shirts, I'll take one of those.
I know how to makeup paint them on if you need that.
What was that dance you did? Was like something like that? I'll figure it out. Anyways, my next one here is an anytime touchdown parlay, 3 legs. I got Travis Etienne, Travis Kelce, and then Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown at plus 390. For all 3 of them.
Well, that'd be a good one to use on the DraftKings boost as well.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm doing it on a different sports book. I won't mention it.
One that has crappy odds.
Yes, that's the one.
One that maybe after Roman people.
maybe Achilles has something to do with the feel for that, but we're not touching that one. Anyways, here's my next one. Underdog spread parlay, 3-legger. Browns plus 1.5, Vikings plus 3, and Cincy plus 1. That gives you odds of 6-12. And then my last one here is another same game parlay. Saquon Barkley and Zach Moss score anytime touchdowns. That gives you 333 odds. So not great, not horrible, but at least it gives you a reason to watch that game.
Yeah. All right, that's week 17. We will be back for week 18. Hopefully, there'll be at least a couple games, that are meaningful towards playoff stuff. I'm not going to lie. Week 18, I tend to reduce bets to very, very minimal, but we'll be here. Maybe a abbreviated show, but we'll definitely be back for the playoffs and getting good stuff for that. Be sure to like and subscribe. Don't miss any of our content. We're going to have Dynamite David coming in again in a little bit, talking all sort of things sports, so that'll be fun. All right, that's our show, and we're out.